I'm leaving in 2 days. And after that, like, crap, I haven't told my husband. And I say, I'm going to Ukraine. He's like, okay, oh, you're going in work? Kind of, no. What are you gonna do there? I'm gonna join the army. And I was kind of waiting that it would be not a nice response to that. But he just calmly say, I'm very surprised that you haven't already left. If you're leaving and going to do something like this, you need to be very clear in your head that the consequences of leaving. You should not expect actually to be back. You should not expect that it's going to be pretty. War is messy and war is shit, to be honest.
Hello, you are watching Channel 24. My name is Sofia Nazarenko, and here in studio I have a very special guest. Is Caroline Nordengrip, is a former Swedish member of the parliament, and now she also made headlines around the world, I would say, when she left her life in Sweden and joined the Ukrainian Armed Forces after the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Russia in Ukraine. Welcome to our program.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I would like to cover your personal story. How did you decide to go to the Ukrainian army? When and how did your relatives actually reacted to your decision?
Oh, that's quite a long story. I will try to make it short. I was a member, as you said, of Parliament, and I was a member of the Committee of Defense. And I was also a member of the Export Control Council, which controls basically which countries we can, export weapons to. And so we make this decision if it's not really 100% clear by law how to handle it. So, of course, when the full-scale invasion was very close, we have meetings after meetings after meetings, both with our own intelligence. Will Russia go in? What will happen? What will we do if they go in? Will we give money to give weapons to Ukraine? How should we act if it's actually happen? So it was, you can say, very busy days to see how will we as a Sweden react. So that was the main basis, and I think it started quite early. I will not say that Sweden was afraid, but they acted kind of slowly. So we have our foreign minister. She said several times in the Swedish media that we cannot deliver weapons to Ukraine because it's against our law, and we can not change the law just that quick. So no, we cannot. And since I was a member of the Export Control Council, I know she was lying. So I actually put her under scrutination 2 days before the full-scale invasion started. And as soon as that come in, we changed our mind because she also know it was not true. So why she said like that, still don't know. But after scrutination, I won and she lost. So that was the first time that I actually set my foot down for Ukraine. And then it happened, the worst thing that can possibly happen. And of course, the meetings get more intense for every day. How we gonna react as a country? What's happening? What can we do for Ukraine? And 2 days after full-scale invasion, the ambassador for Ukraine in Sweden and the military attaché was visiting the Committee of Defense and the Foreign Affairs. And during this meeting, he was live telling us what was going on in Ukraine, what part has been affected, how everything was affected. And meanwhile, he was telling us, his military attaché called for his attention, went up, whisper, and of course I cannot tell what was said. But his face broke down and he told what was happened. And at that moment, because I was wearing, of course, my nice suit, high heels and all that you have in the parliament, I just looked at him. I'm a trained soldier. What am I doing here? Why am I here? So basically there, a long story short started. After that, 24/7 of my awake time was how am I going to get to Ukraine in a serious way? that I'm actually making something good and not just being in a way.
And how did your family and friends reacted to this decision? Because I think it's was hard not only for you but also for them to understand that you will live this, calm life in Europe.
From the beginning, I will be really honest to say they were not in the process at all. It could take 2 days, I think, before I realized I can search for the embassy of Ukraine in Sweden. And I put, of course, in a fake name because that's what you do. And was called up after a few days. And it was supposed to be a Swedish platoon that was going down and fight together. Because, well, we don't speak Ukrainian in Sweden. And a lot of the Ukrainians don't speak English. So we know that is going to be an issue. And he asked me, and I signed in for the name Alex. And after we speak, and he asked about my military experience and all of this, he said, yeah, sounds good. You can come with us. But I hear that you're a woman. Is there something else I should know? It's like, yeah, I'm a member of the parliament. If that's a problem, then I shouldn't go. And he said, no, it's not a problem. And I didn't think more about it, to be honest, because we were in the party just have a big conference and it's broadcast online. And I was the chair of this conference, so I was 24 really busy. And when we're just going to open one of the sessions for the day, my phone calls, and I see it's from this person that I will go with this group. And I said to the vice chair, could you take a little time because I need to go answer the phone. And he says, we're leaving in 2 days. And I go back because they know about it. And I told them, I'm leaving in 2 days. And after that, like, crap, I haven't told my husband. So I called him. He was in business trip in Poland. And I say, I'm going to Ukraine. He's like, okay, oh, you're going in work? Kind of, no. What are you going to do there? I'm going to join the army. And I was kind of waiting that it would be not a nice response to that. But he just calmly say, I'm very surprised that you haven't already left.
And I also read in your interviews that your first trip was actually in March 2022. It was a couple of days of the beginning of the full-scale invasion, and that you spent a lot of time in the Kiev region, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and Bucha.
Because yes, exactly. Because for these cities, it was I think one of the hardest times during this war, because we know a lot about war crimes done by Russia exactly in this region, and that many civilians were killed, a lot of territory were occupied, and actually at that time of moment, did you realize how brutal can Russian army actually be?
Both yes and no. If you're leaving and going to do something like this, you need to be very clear in your head that the consequences of leaving. You should not expect actually to be back. You should not expect that it's going to be pretty. War is messy and war is shit, to be honest. So for me, of course it's not nice to see it, but I expected it and I didn't think I would be anything else. Sweden also have a long history with Russia. We're very close to Finland. Finland also have a long history with Russia, the Baltics. So, and of course, how should I put it? I was very well informed due to what I did at work. We know exactly what's going on. We have more information, of course, than the media have. So, yeah, I would say. So I went to Bucha directly when it was released. They wake me up in the middle of the night and said, they released Bucha, we need to go.
When you were 19, you joined Swedish Armed Forces and spent actually several years there. And how exactly did this experience help you during your time in Ukraine?
I did my conscript when I was 19. During that time, it was also mandatory for female to do conscript. It is in Sweden today. So I did 11 months of conscript up in the north. Cold as shit, to be honest. But it's also here. And after that, I joined the National Guard. So in combined, I have a few years experience. I would say it's helped me due to you have routines, because as a soldier, it's hard to say, but it's a job. You cannot go by feeling, because that may you do something that's not according to your group, and you need to act as a group. Otherwise, you will have a problem and they will split you up. And Russians are quite good, actually, to split groups up. So, at Swedes, routine and communication is very important, to know what everyone in the group are and things like that. So, that, of course, the routine is a security. If you get stressed or if you get anything, just go back to routine. So, of course, it's helping, and we train that in Sweden a lot.
After joining the Ukrainian Armed Forces, you decided to go to the 47 Mechanized Brigade, and maybe you could tell us why exactly this brigade and what is your role there?
In the beginning of the war, we were split up. The platoon that's supposed to be a platoon, and because it was a problem with contracts, it was a problem with basically everything. All of us that went down thought that this war was going to be quite quick. Actually, Russia will take Ukraine quite quick, and we will do what we can right now and hard and fast to stop it. Unfortunately, this war is still going on. Hopefully, we could have kicked them out already the first day, but yeah, still here. So the person that's supposed to be the platoon commander when we left the first time, the guy that called me the first day, basically, he went as an instructor for the 47 Brigade. He has long experience in the Swedish Defense Force. And he told me if this is a good unit, they thinking different than the other units. They want international thinking. They don't want the old Russian thinking. So if you want to come here and join, then I have a spot for you. Of course, if they think you are appropriate for it.
And what are your main responsibilities?
Then I was an instructor.
In Ukraine, we know that army is mostly for men, but of course a lot of women serve there too. But you're not just a woman, you're also a foreigner, and you're also an ex-member of Swedish Parliament. And how did your fellow soldiers actually reacted to this?
I would say in the beginning absolutely nothing, because no one knows. I'm Alex. It was first when I actually signed the contract, because we were going to the front, and then you need a contract. Before that I was doing it for free and just volunteer. Then of course I need to put my real name in it, and the Swedish media picked it up. In the small local newspaper, she called me up and she said, I know you've been here all the time and I know you don't want to speak about it, but please, can I have an interview? And I say, yeah, no, it's public that I'm here anyway, so why not? And that was sold basically to all the Swedish media, and after that I have on Facebook from people from Australia, from everywhere, all the media was calling. I only took a few interviews, but yeah, it spread quite wide. I even ended up as a poster girl in Moscow Square, so saying I was the biggest Russophobia ever to exist, also outside the Swedish embassy in Russia. And the biggest news shows from Russia also called me and tell me, oh, do you want to be in It's Live? I was like, I cannot end good. Doesn't matter what I say, it cannot end good. So,
from your experience from the Swedish army, how different Ukrainian army and Swedish one, and what the differences strike you most?
I would say a lot of different is, if I say something that's I think need to be improved, is in Sweden we have this group. I'm a group commander now in the Swedish army, and for my soldiers, if not everyone is done, no one is done. So you work together until you're done, and then we are done. There's no excuses whatsoever. But it's not really working the same way here. And I think that needs to be improved, because just silly things like when we're at the front and it starts raining and people are out in the battlefield and no one take away the sleeping bags for the ones that are out the battlefield and it's going to get wet. If that would happen in Sweden, I would say, well, you give your dry one to his because you're not a nice person because you didn't care for him when he was away. So small things like this that strike me. And of course also, unfortunately, that a lot of people are recruited to different roles because they're friends or should have a higher salary, or it doesn't need to be actually the best one, which means the group feeling is you don't maybe trust your commander or things like that. And that, I would say, it's biggest difference.
As you know, before the full-scale invasion, Russian army has declared that they are the second army in the world. Do you still have this perception, if you ever had it?
To be a population of 116 million, and Ukraine is like 44. As we said, we thought this was going to be over basically in days or not weeks. And they are threatening basically Baltikum, they're threatening Sweden, they're threatening all the countries. But if they cannot take Ukraine, then, well, good luck to take on NATO, I would say. So I think they prove that that's not true, to be honest. Actually, the point I said before, now only said bad things about the Ukrainian army, but it's a lot of good things. So actually, if you see how much they move during this year, and a lot of in the beginning they just take for free. Yeah. So come on, no, I would say no.
Yeah, especially now with drone production in Ukraine. What was the hardest moment in the army? If you can share it with us.
I don't know if it's, of course, it's not very nice moments, but it's, I would say, to see other people get devastated that they miss the loved ones. Some have wives that left to Europe and they don't even know where they are, and do that and have a battle at the same time. Even if they don't say it's hard, you can see it's hard, and it should be hard. So I would say that part is basically the worst, that you cannot help, and sometimes you cannot speak to them either because I'm not fluent in Ukrainian. I try to be, but unfortunately I'm not.
In February we will have the 4th year of the full-scale invasion, and unfortunately it still continues. What kind of lessons European countries and NATO countries in particular can learn from this Russian war against Ukraine?
I would say the biggest mistake that Europe and the rest of the world, and you say of course because they put quite high roof in that one, if they would just act like this, they would have kicked them on directly. Because if they just go in and say, out of here, we shouldn't have a war today. So that was the biggest mistake. Take the problem why it's a small problem before it gets a big problem, and then you need to argue what to do with the big problem. Because big problem, big money, well, big everything, big losses, and that was the biggest mistake, I would say.
We also hear right now a lot of news about the situation on the front line, not only on the Donetsk region, but also in the south area, for example, Zaporizhia direction, where Russians are trying to move further. What is your perspective on what's going on the front line? Because recently, President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, said that Russians are trying to advance, but already in October they had one of the heaviest losses in the war. It was 25,500 soldiers was killed just in 1 month.
Yeah, the front line is quite long, so it will be hard to actually comment on different part of it. But of course, since this peace plan is in order, and we've seen it now for a long time because it didn't start now, they have been arguing about this for quite some time. Every time that actually US goes in and start this peace plan, the Russians goes in and try to push it. We see it in Kursk, we see it in different other regions. So they try to get the best possibility for the agreement and to have as much card on the table as possible when this game starts to who's going to get that and who's going to get that, and the Russians can say we have this and have this. So of course they're pushing very hard, even if they don't really have the possibility to do it. And of course that will end up in huge losses. To be honest, that was happening because they're going in with meat instead of a good strategy and good weapons and things like that. So I think that it's why it's very, very intense now when they have big losses. And this peace plan are really affecting everything, I would say. So.
Since you already mentioned this peace plan, what's your reaction actually on these so-called peace negotiations? Because personally for me, when I see that American delegation landed in Moscow, talked to Putin, and then nothing happened. I mean, and it's not first time when they are trying to convince Putin or even to talk to him just about possible plan, and we see that Putin doesn't want to stop. He wants to capture all Donbass even without fighting, and etc.
Yeah, of course. Why should he? There's no reason for him to give up anything if he doesn't get what he wants, both for his own political career at home, of course, because he said, I give up. And at home, they're saying that everything going great. Why have all these people died for nothing if they will not have anything? So when you have one peace plan, Ukraine, US, and then you have one peace plan, US, Russia, is this really going to end up in the end? Yeah, you can come, Ukraine and US agreed, and then you go to Russia and they say like, hell no. And we're back to square one again. So do they want peace? No, why should they? If it's not very beneficial for them, they will say no. And of course that would not be very beneficial for and non-acceptable for Ukraine. So it will possibly end up with a no, I think. If not, US put down its foot and say, you know what, you played enough, end. If you go in, you will have hell. It's basically, and Europe can do the same thing. If not, that's going to happen. Why should Russia do anything? They have a hard time just beating Ukraine right now. If they have more against them, they will have an impossible time to do it. But as it is right now, why should they give in to something that's not beneficial for them?
From personal perspective, as a former politician, do you see any signs that actually Putin ready for peace?
No.
Your country, Sweden, joined NATO in 2022. Mm-hmm. And actually, as Russian dictators say that his idea of attacking Ukraine was in order to prevent NATO expansion, and it happens the other way around. Do you support the decision of Sweden to join NATO? Both
yes and no, I would say. That has nothing to do with Russia's opinion. We're a free country, we can do whatever we want. If I would start with the no part, is that Sweden, back in the days, we have a huge defense force and we can actually defend ourselves. Because if you work together and it's too many countries going in, then we see that we have problem with some of the countries do not maybe thinking the same way. It's the European Union. We have some countries that don't want to cooperate as it was meant to be, and the same is with NATO. So in the end, you are stronger in your own defense. So we need to build up our defense as well. But during that time, basically we have politicians in the past that tear down all of our defense. We basically have none left, which means do we really have a choice? So during that time, was this the best choice? Yes. Would I prefer to see an alliance between the Nordic countries? I would say yes, because our mind more think alike. And we spend kind of the same defense budget. which some countries in the NATO are spending very little, but they will still take all the beneficial from it. But also one of the biggest part in it for me that is yes, that is the Finland, because we in Finland are like that for a long time, and if they join, well, we will join also. So I would say during the circumstances that were there right then, yes, it was a good thing to do. But would I like a Nordic one and a strong Swedish defense, which we are doing now, that would be even better. But NATO, absolutely, I'm not against it.
Intelligence reports that Russia would be ready for a war against NATO in 2029 or 2030. Do you think NATO countries are ready to defend itself?
Yes, I would say. Due to that, we see that Russia are not that strong as they actually say. So, but it also, we shouldn't be naive. We need to be on our toes. So if Russia put a lot of manpower close to the NATO border, we need to do the same thing. Because if you look at Baltikum, and the distance are quite short. So it depends if they put it somewhere, then they could move forward really quickly. Yeah, of course, we should do the same thing. So if we react, I would say, well, if you cannot take Ukraine, then have a good luck.
Caroline, thank you very much for this discussion and for your insights.
Thank you.